What's up, everybody? This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob. Today I'm doing my first ever gifted whiskey rundown. This is one of two, and there will be more in the years to come. But I wanted to kind of give credit and say thank you to those who help support this channel. And I figured the best way to do that is to kind of put these bottles together and give each one the respect it deserves. So starting over here on my left, I have the Glenlivet Nadurra. This one is the Oloroso matured. Bottled 0614, so 2014 bottling. This one is 60.7%. Matured in first fill Oloroso sherry. Not sure how old it is because this is just after the 16-year-old was no longer being made. And they dropped it to a no age statement. This one was given to me by my good friend Peter White. Two of these actually on display today are given to me by Peter White, and we'll get to that. But I'm going to nose and taste each one and give each one a mark as I go from left to right. Okay, definitely an Oloroso sherry bomb here. This one's under $100 at the LCBO, which is a good price. And judging by the nose, there's some older whiskey in here as well. Definitely the traditional Oloroso type notes you would get here. This is not a seasoned cask. This is definitely an older sherry cask. Not necessarily old whiskey, but definitely an older sherry cask. And you get all those things that you would expect, that dark red fruit type note. Getting some nice orange notes as well. Maybe a little bit like a dark chocolate note. I'm not getting any of that traditional apple that I get from Glenlivet usually. You can tell that this is way more sherry than their regular expressions like the 12, the 15, the 18 on the palate. So there is some heat because it is 60+%, 60.7 to be exact. But it doesn't necessarily drink like it's that high in ABV. Obviously, you're going to take small sips with this one unless you add some water. But immediately off the hop, you can tell really, really sweet. Sherry cask definitely has some great influence on this one. Yeah, really nice. Super sugary, but the high intensity in ABV kind of balance that out. There is some nice viscosity here. Definitely some like chocolate notes, espresso notes. That's really good. I haven't had too many of the Nadurras. This one is probably my favorite of the ones that I have tried. I did try the bourbon one. I tried a peated one as well. And I tried the old 16-year-old. I think this one might be my favorite. I don't remember exactly what the old 16-year-old tastes like, but I would like to go back to it. I know somebody that does have a bottle. That one's really nice. I'm going to give this one an 86. Really, really good whiskey for under $100. I think it's a great deal. Is it going to blow you away? Maybe not, but this is honestly at its money zone right now. Better than I remember it tasting the last time I tried it. So I would even go as high as an 87 on this one. Really, really nice stuff. Thank you, Peter White. Moving on to this Laphroaig 10-year-old, which was bottled in 2002, and it's bottled by Providence. Okay, so this is an independent bottler. This was gifted to me by a buddy named Josh in Edmonton. Sorry, not in Edmonton, in Fort McMurray. And he has the Instagram channel or Instagram page, Know Your Whiskey. So if you don't follow him because he's a great guy and he knows a lot about whiskey. So thank you, Josh. This is an awesome gift. Gonna give this a try. So I remember doing a head-to-head when I first got this with the regular Laphroaig 10-year-old. This one comes off a lot more peaty on the nose, like right off the hop. Yeah, definitely a lot more peat. Really nice peat though. It wouldn't scream to me Laphroaig. Really nice things going on with that. Definitely like a honey note, and it's unchill filtered, no added color. And definitely a bourbon cask based on that color, unless it's a refill sherry hogshead. What you would come to expect on the nose from a Laphroaig with that ashy note, the iodine. It's not as rubber heavy as some of the Laphroaigs I've had, even the Laphroaig 10-year-old. More of the quarter cask is like heavy on the rubber. But this definitely has a little bit of that going on as well. Sweet peat for sure. Okay, on the palate. Great mouthfeel. Not too sweet. It's got a nice balance. It's definitely the Laphroaig. You can tell the distillate right away. I like the 46% ABV. If you follow 60%er with a 46, you're going to get a little bit less on the palate as far as heat goes, but this is really, really well balanced. Yeah, that's good. Definitely powdered sugars. Hint of like a honey. Some like soily, ashy notes. Bonfire maybe. Really nice. Good stuff. Honestly, I really like that. That's man, that's a tough one to mark because it's actually really nice, and I've become more and more in love with peat these days. I'm gonna give this one the same as I gave the Nadurra. It's gonna be around an 80, almost equal in like the pleasure of the experience, so to speak. So really, really nice stuff. 86, 87. Thanks again, Josh. Really appreciate that, buddy. All right, heading over here to the infamous 22-year-old. This is also an independent bottler. 50%. It's a blended malt. A lot of people said, legend has it, that there's Macallan and Highland Park in this. It's bourbon cask, as you can tell. We will see. No chill filtration, no added color. 22 years old, 50%. Really nice nose. It's hard to really identify a Macallan distillate when it comes to a bourbon cask because we're not used to getting any of that. We always have that heavy sherry influence or seasoned sherry cask influence anyway. So we don't really know what a Macallan would taste like if it was just a bourbon cask on its own. Nice honeys, nice vanillas here. A little bit of like an oatmeal type note. Breakfast oatmeal. You got your oats, your berries, your maple syrup, warmed up. It gives off a beautiful aroma. That kind of happens here in this glass. All right, on the palate. Yeah, definitely bourbon cask influence. You get those vanillas. You get that like brown sugar kind of note. Maybe powdered sugar even. The oat notes there. Definitely that malted note is there. Something like peachy almost in this. A little bit of apricot maybe. Really nice. This is 22 years old. I don't know exactly how much this cost. This was gifted to me by my buddy Jasper. Really, really nice whiskey. I'm gonna assume that it was close to $200. It could be north of that. Not 100% sure. Good whiskey. I would give this probably about an 85. I don't know if I would go too much higher than that. It's bourbon cask, which I like sometimes depending on what's going on with it. But in this case, I feel like it's pretty basic. It's got a nice ABV to it. It's cool because it's got the legend behind it, assuming that it might be Macallan or Highland Park or some of the more famous whiskey distilleries, which is kind of cool. But like I said, nothing that's going to blow your mind. Really nice whiskey. 85 is probably what I'm going to go with on this one. Last but not least, another Peter White gift here. The Grindlay's Ben Nevis 1997. This one says it's just over 18 years old. 52.6%. It's sherry cask, one of 228 bottles. So, here we go. This one's got an interesting nose to it. A little bit of like a licorice type note, maybe even black licorice. Maybe some strawberry in there as well. Something creamy. Even like a creamy vanilla, which is kind of interesting. I believe Peter got this for a really reasonable price. Mid hundreds, low hundreds, something like that. Really nice nose. Maybe a bit of a coffee note in there as well. On the palate. Okay, so this one gets the winner for mouthfeel. It's got a nice sweetness. You can tell that there's nice sherry notes in there as well. But the viscosity is really nice. It kind of coats your palate, which is what I'm looking for when I'm drinking a whiskey. Very fruit forward. Berries, melons, thinking like cantaloupe, raspberry. And then later on the finish, it turns into like cooked down fruits, like maybe strawberry custard or strawberries baked into like a pie or something like that. Some coffee notes as well on the back end, some chocolate notes on the back end as well. This one's a really, really nice one. Yeah, great whiskey. I remember trying this and I was super impressed. I continue to be impressed by this one. This is really nice. It makes me want to hunt out more Ben Nevis and maybe more independent bottles of Ben Nevis as well, because you see more of the independent stuff from Ben Nevis than you do from the actual distillery. Really nice stuff. I'm going to give that one an 88. Very, very good. It can even go as high as an 89. I really like that. And just over 18 years old, I think it was a reasonable price. All around, all these are great whiskeys, and I thank all of you guys for gifting these whiskeys to the channel. I really appreciate it. This is part 1 of 2 that's going to happen like in the next little while. And as new whiskeys are gifted to the channel, I'll decide what I'm going to do with them. Some are gifted to the channel that work better in a different type of video. So I have a Laphroaig gifted to the channel, but I also have a Laphroaig 10-year-old, so I plan to do those 2 together, that sort of thing. But really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you really like the video, you can hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the bell to get the notifications for when I post videos. You guys can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and you guys can support this channel on Patreon, or you can send the bottle. Cheers.